This is the final video of the course, and here in this video I would be explaining about the front end we will be creating for our gambling application, a decentralized application. I won't be coding the front end completely since we have already created a decentralized application before. I will be going through a simple form. In this video we will use front end of the app we created previous section. We won't be using the entire code. We will be changing the style, the form, the buttons and all, but the basic form will be same. We will learn where to use the send transaction and call for this contract. You guys have to guess for which function in the contract we will be using send transaction, for which we will be using call. And then we can use Ganache to actually deploy the contract onto it. I won't be going through the deployment of the contract on Ganache in this video since we have done it in the previous videos itself. This is how decentralized applications frontend can look like, or it will be looking like this. I have downloaded a simple video from online and I put it in the background of the website or the decentralized application. I created a simple frontend where we have a simple form. We can use it to register here. Now this is an example and which is more sophisticated. We don't have to create multiple forms and a menu which I have created like this over here. Now without further ado, let's go into the code. This is the front end part which I created for a decentralized application. In the header, I have the menu button. We won't be needing the menu button for the gambling app, but I'm just showing you how I've created it. I've created 5 text boxes actually for having the Ethereum's address, our name, amount, phone number, mail, and a registration button. Now, although we don't have all the variables in our gambling application or the gambling contract, which I should say, I just created it for an extra purpose. We're not going to go through the actual ABI, initializing the Web3 and all, but let's just dive into the actual functionality. We will look into the functions where we will be actually using the send transaction and where we will be using call. Let's look into the contract. Here the first function is unsafe entry. This function will actually return a function's value, written value, which is generate hash. The input parameters are 2 UNs and the output is the generate hash function's result. Well, here we are not actually changing any memory. We're not modifying any memory in the blockchain. We're not storing or anything like that. Thus, we can actually use the call. Call method is nothing but the one which we have used previously for picking winner. Well, actually, according to this application, we use send transaction here. Here we used call. Call is nothing but when we don't have an actual transaction, we are not actually modifying any part in the blockchain, right? Then we can use call. Let's get into another function and see. Well, this function also doesn't modify anything, so we can use call for this too. Then comes buy ticket. Here, when we look into this part of the function, we actually see that in these 2 lines, we are actually storing the hash into this mapping. Thus, we will be using send transaction for this function in our JavaScript function in our front end, the script. What happens with the verify ticket? Well, I believe we will be using send transaction for this too, because we will be using this, we will be storing the value of this in this variable. Then for check winner will return a Boolean value. It is not actually storing something or modifying a memory in a blockchain, so we can use call for it. Then comes claim. Claim is actually claiming the amount. The winner will be able to claim this amount. Does it modify any variable? Well, it does over here. Then we can use the send transaction. If we think about it in other way, claim is nothing but actually a transaction. We, the owner of the contract, will be sending the amount to the winner. Thus, it has to be send transaction. Always remember one thing, like I said in the previous videos too, the ABI should be always changed. If you want, we can use the same front end part, but we have to change the text boxes and buttons and the styling according to our contract to accustom to our contract needs. The ABI will be always different for each contract. Well, if the contract is the same, the ABI will be same too. The next thing you need to keep in mind is to actually change the address where the contract is stored or deployed. Every time you make a mistake and again redeploy it, you have to change the address where the contract is deployed, because every time you deploy it, the deployed contract address changes. And the rest you already know it since we created a decentralized application before.